this video, I am going to be helping you to crochet the Sunday Squares pattern by Made by Anita. This video is designed to support the written pattern and not replace it. So I would always suggest that you have the written pattern with you because it does have a really helpful photo tutorial. So this video is really just designed as a backup for if any of those photos don't make sense. You need to ignore the colours that I'm using in my sample because I've just used scraps of King Cole yarn I have here with me. So you will need to follow the colour chart that is in your written pattern, and then I will talk you through how we work the base square and any subsequent squares to give you a really firm grounding in how to crochet this blanket. For this blanket you can use scrap yarn, but this tutorial is using the yarn pack and a 4mm hook. So you are going to need double knit yarn and a 4mm hook to tackle this blanket. So grab some yarn, grab your hook, and let's get crocheting. In this blanket, the first square we are going to tackle is our base square. Now this square you only make once in the whole blanket because the rest of your squares are going to be joined as they go. So this is the one and only time you will make this square in this blanket. You want to start by making a slip knot, and with a 4mm hook you are going to chain 31. With these chains it's really important to make sure that you don't chain them too tight because otherwise your square is going to pull in quite heavily. So go ahead now and chain 31 nice and loosely. Once you've worked your 31 chains, you are going to start by working a UK double crochet into the second chain from your hook. Don't forget this loop here on your hook does not count, so you're going to count 1, 2, and then you're going to pop a UK double crochet, which for those of you who use US terms is a single crochet, into that second chain from your hook. Then you are going to repeat the following combination of 2 stitches a total of 6 times. You are going to work a UK treble crochet, which is a US double, and then a UK double crochet, which is a US single, and then repeat that combination 5 times more. Once you've repeated that combination 6 times, you are going to work a UK treble crochet into the next chain along. Don't forget, for those of you that use US terms, that is a US double crochet. Next you are going to skip the next 2 chains and into the third chain along, so the next chain after those 2 you are going to work a UK treble, and once again just to confirm that is a US double. Then into the next stitch work a UK double crochet, a US single crochet, and you're going to repeat these 2 stitches 6 times more. So that's a UK treble or a US double into one stitch, and then a UK double or a US single crochet into the next, and you're going to repeat that all the way along the chain, and you should finish on a double crochet, or also known as a US single crochet. Finish row 1 by chaining 1 and turning your work. Now at no point in this square does this chain 1 count as a stitch. So it does not count as a stitch, so the very first stitch of row 2 is worked straight into the bottom of the final stitch of row 1. For row 2 you are going to work 1 UK treble crochet, that's a US double, and then 1 UK double crochet, a US single, and then you are going to repeat those 2 stitches a total of 6 times, so 5 more times after that initial 2 stitches. After working that combination 6 times, you should have left in the row below, before this gap, you should have a double crochet, so that's a US single, and then a UK treble crochet. Into this last UK double crochet before the gap, we are going to work 1 UK treble crochet, and that is a US double crochet if you're not familiar with the translation. Then we are going to skip these next 2 stitches, and then you are going to repeat the following 2 stitches 6 times. So that's a UK treble or a US double, and then a UK double or a US single, and you are going to repeat that 6 times, and that should leave you with just 1 stitch left to work into. Into the top of this final stitch of the row, you are going to work a UK treble crochet, or if you use US terms, that is a US double crochet. Then you are going to chain 1 and turn your work. Start row 3 by repeating the following 2 stitches a total of 6 times. Don't forget your chain 1 does not count as a stitch. You are working straight into that final stitch from the row below, and into that stitch you want to work a UK double crochet, also known as a US single crochet, and then the second stitch of that 2 stitch repeat is a US double crochet or a UK treble crochet, and you repeat these 2 stitches a total of 6 times. Once you've worked those 12 stitches, you are going to skip the next 2 treble crochet, and then into the first double crochet after the gap you are going to work a UK treble crochet. By now, if you're using US terms, I'd like to feel that you're confident knowing that whenever I say UK treble, I mean US double, and whenever I say UK double, I mean a US single. If you need clarification, then refer to your written pattern, but from this point in, I'm going to use UK terms. So after that treble crochet, you are going to work a UK double crochet into the next stitch, and you are going to repeat this 2 stitch combination until the end of the row. You should finish on a UK double crochet. Finish row 3 by chaining 1 and turning your work. For row 4, you are going to work the following 2 stitch combination a total of 5 times. You are going to work a UK treble straight into the top of that final stitch from the row below, because our chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and then a UK double into the next stitch, and you're going to repeat those 2 stitches 4 more times for a total of 10 stitches. After those 10 stitches, you are going to work a UK treble crochet into the next stitch along, and then you're going to miss the next 2 stitches. Then you're going to work a UK treble crochet into the 3rd stitch along, so you're missing 2 and then working into the 3rd one, and then you're going to work a double crochet, that's a UK double, into the next stitch after that, and then you're going to repeat these 2 stitches 5 times, and that should leave you with 1 stitch left to work in the row. Into the last stitch of the row, you are going to work 1 final UK treble crochet, and then you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. For row 5, you are going to start by working a double crochet into that very first stitch, that is a UK double crochet, and then a UK treble crochet into the stitch after that. And then you are going to repeat these 2 stitches 4 more times so that you've worked a total of 10 stitches. Skip the next 2 stitches, and into the stitch after that you are going to work a UK treble crochet. Into the stitch after that you are going to work a UK double crochet, and then you're going to repeat that 2 stitch combination a total of 5 times, and that should take you to the end of your row. Finish off row 5 by chaining 1 and turning your work, and don't forget this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. To start row 6, you are going to repeat the following 2 stitch combination a total of 4 times, so that's a total of 8 stitches. You are going to work a UK treble crochet into the very first stitch, and a UK double crochet into the next stitch along. And then you're going to repeat that 2 stitch combination an additional 3 times, and you should have then worked a total of 8 stitches. Next, you're going to work a UK treble crochet into the next stitch, then skip 2 stitches, and you are going to then work the following combination of 2 stitches 4 times. So you're going to work 1 UK treble crochet and 1 UK double crochet, and repeat those 2 another 3 times so that you've worked a total of 8 stitches, and that should leave you with 1 stitch left to work in the row. Into that final stitch of the row, you are going to work 1 UK treble crochet, and then you are going to chain 1 and turn your work. Row 7 starts by working the following 2 stitches a total of 4 times. So you are going to work 1 double crochet into the very first stitch because that chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and then 1 UK treble crochet into the next stitch along, and you want to work that a total of 4 times, so you're going to repeat that 3 times more so that you've worked a total of 8 stitches including these first 2. That should take you to your midpoint of your square, and you are going to miss the next 2 stitches from the row below, and into the 3rd stitch along you are going to work a UK treble crochet. Into the next stitch you are going to work a UK double crochet, and you're going to repeat these 2 stitches a total of 4 times, and that should take you right to the very end of row 7. Finish row 7 by chaining 1 and turning your work. To start row 8 you are going to work the following 2 stitches a total of 3 times, so that is 6 stitches in total. You are going to start by working a UK treble crochet into the very first stitch of the row. Don't forget that that chain 1 from the beginning of the row does not count as a stitch. And then into the next stitch you are going to work a UK double crochet, and you're going to repeat those 2 stitches 2 more times so that you've worked a total of 6 stitches. Into the next stitch along you are going to work a UK treble crochet, and at this point we've reached the midpoint of the row again, so we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and then you're going to repeat the following 2 stitches a total of 3 times. You are going to work a UK treble crochet and then a UK double crochet, and you're going to repeat those twice more so that you've worked a total of 6 stitches, and that should leave you with 1 final stitch in the row left to work. Finish off your row by working 1 UK treble crochet into the very final stitch of the row, and then chaining 1 and turn your work. For row 9 you are going to repeat the following 2 stitches 3 times. You're going to work a UK double crochet into the first stitch, and then a UK treble crochet into the stitch after that. Repeat those 2 stitches twice more and you should have worked a total of 6 stitches. Skip the next 2 stitches and then work the following 2 stitch combination a total of 3 times. You're going to work a UK treble and then a UK double. Repeat that twice more and it should take you to the end of your row. Finish row 9 by chaining 1 and turning your work. To start row 10 you are going to repeat the following 2 stitch combination just twice. You're going to work a UK treble crochet into the first stitch and a UK double crochet into the next. Repeat that again, so a UK treble crochet into the next stitch and a UK double crochet into the stitch after that. Then you're going to work a treble crochet into the stitch after that. Skip the next 2 stitches and then you are going to repeat a 2 stitch combination twice again. So you're going to work a UK treble crochet into the first stitch after those 2 skipped stitches, and then a UK double crochet into the next stitch after that. Repeat those 2 stitches once more so that you work them a total of twice, and that should leave you with 1 stitch left to work in your row, and for that stitch you are going to work a UK treble crochet and then you're going to chain 1 and turn your work to finish your row. Start row 11 by working a double crochet into the very first stitch and then a UK treble crochet into the stitch after that. Repeat those 2 stitches once more, so that's a UK double crochet and then a UK treble crochet. Then you're going to skip the next 2 stitches and you're going to repeat the following 2 stitches just twice. So you're going to work a UK treble followed by a UK double, and then the same again once more, so a UK treble followed by a UK double. Finish your row by chaining 1 and turning your work. Row 12 you are going to work 1 UK treble crochet into the first stitch a UK double crochet into the next stitch, and then a UK treble crochet into the stitch after that. Skip the next 2 stitches because they are what makes up our mitre, and then you're going to work a UK treble crochet into the next stitch along after those 2 skip stitches, a UK double crochet into the stitch after that, and then your row is finished by working a UK treble crochet into the very last stitch and then chaining 1 and turning your work. Row 13, you are going to work a double crochet into the very first stitch and then a UK treble crochet into the next stitch after that. Skip the next 2 stitches and then into the first stitch after those 2 skipped stitches you are going to work a UK treble crochet, and then into the very last stitch of the row you are going to work a UK double crochet. Finish the row by chaining 1 and turning your work. Row 14 is very simple. You are going to only work 1 treble crochet into the very last stitch of your row. So you're not working into this first stitch, you're then skipping 2 stitches, which should leave you with 1 stitch left, and into that final stitch you are going to work a UK treble crochet. And that completes your base square, and at this point you can break your yarn and sew in your tail. Next, I'm going to show you how to add a square to the right. So if you are a right-handed crocheter, your base square will be the bottom left-hand corner of your blanket. And then the way that you build your blanket is to add a square to the right, add a square to the top, and then you will fill in the gap. So from now on in, there are only 3 types of squares that you work. I'm going to talk you through how to join and then how to work the first row, and then rows 2 to 14 of each of these squares is worked in exactly the same way as the base square. To make life easier for you to see, I have sewn in the tail from where I finish off my square so that we only have the tail from my starting chain for you to concentrate on, because that plays a part in where you join your square. When you are adding a square to the right of your base square or to the right of any additional squares that you have made, you are going to start by making a slip knot and chaining 14. Try not to chain these chains too tightly so that your square lays nice and flat. Once you've chained 14, you want to grab your piece of work, in my case just the base square, with the tail at the bottom right hand corner of your square. Then you are going to pop your hook into that last chain of the starting foundation chain from the square before, and you're going to work a slip stitch. After you've done that, you want to make a total of 15 slip stitches, nice and loosely, because if you do them too tight, you're going to find them hard to work into when you're working back down along your row. And you want to work 15 slip stitches nice and evenly up your work. And after the 15th stitch, you should be nearly at the top of your square. And that's where I'll meet you. Your 15th slip stitch should be worked into the top of that very last treble crochet from the square below, and then once you've done that you are going to start working row 1. So finish off this initial row by chaining 1 and turning your work. Now we are going to be working into these chains here, so you're going to be popping your hook all the way underneath both loops of that chain and working into them like that. So row 1 of this square is worked in the same way as your base square, but I will talk you through it just so that you can see how we work our stitches. Now in this case, the second chain from your hook is actually going to be the very last slip stitch, and you are going to work a UK double crochet into that final slip stitch. So pop your hook underneath both loops of that slip stitch, draw up a loop and pull through both loops. So that's a UK double or a US single crochet. Then you are going to work the following 2-stitch combination a total of 6 times. You are going to work 1 UK treble crochet, that's a US double for those of you that like to use US terms, and then 1 UK double crochet, That's a US single for those of you that like to use US terms. Repeat those 2 stitches another 5 times, and then I will meet you at this point here to show you what we do next. Then you are going to work a UK treble crochet into the next slip stitch along. Skip the next 2 stitches, and then into the next stitch after those 2 skip stitches you are going to work a UK treble crochet. That is the first of a 2 stitch repeat that you're going to repeat a total of 6 times. So the second of the 2 stitches is a UK double, that's a US single, and then you're going to repeat that 2 stitch combination another 6 times, and that should take you to the end of your row. Finish your row by chaining 1 and turning your work, and then the rest of this square is worked by following the rows 2 to 14 from your base square. Next we're going to tackle adding squares above. Now adding squares to the right, like this blue one here, that builds the width of your blanket, and when you add a square above, that builds the length of your blanket. So unlike when you add to the right, instead of doing your chains first, we are first going to work our 15 slip stitches, and then we are going to work some chains. I'm going to show you where to pop the first slip stitch and the last slip stitch because those ones go in a very specific place, but the 15 along here you can work yourself. So to start, you are going to pop your hook into the last treble crochet of your base square, and you're going to pull up a loop. Then, just like you did with your other square, you are going to work initially 14 slip stitches. That should leave you with 1 slip stitch left to work, and I will show you where you want to pop that final slip stitch. So work these 14 nice and evenly, and you should end at about here with number 14, and then I'll show you where to put number 15. When you work your 15th and final slip stitch, you want to find this little loop here. That is your very last chain stitch from the foundation chain of your base square, and you want to pop your hook into there, and that will give you a really nice neat join between the green square and the yellow square. After those 15 slip stitches, you want to chain 16. Row 1 is essentially the same as the base square, but I will walk you through it because it does involve working into your slip stitches, and if you're not familiar from working into them from this blue square here, I'll just recover it for you when we are joining this yellow square. Rows 2 to 14 of the square are worked in exactly the same way as the base square, so I'm not going to cover those. I will leave you to carry on and finish your square, and if you need to, you can go back to the beginning of the video and watch rows 2 to 14 from the base square. They are exactly the same. To start your square, you are going to work 1 double crochet, that is a US single crochet, into the second chain from your hook. Then you are going to repeat the following 2 stitches a total of 6 times. You are going to work 1 UK treble crochet, that is a US double crochet, into the next chain along, and then 1 UK double crochet, that's a US single crochet, into this chain after that. And you're going to repeat those a total of 6 times. So after this initial pair, you are going to work another 5 pairs. When you've finished your 6th set of stitches, you are going to work 1 treble crochet into the next stitch. That is a UK treble. So if you're using US terms, you want to be working a US double crochet. Next, you want to skip 2 chains, so that will be 1 chain and 1 slip stitch, and then into the next stitch you are going to work the first of a pair of stitches that you are going to repeat 7 times. So you are going to work a UK treble crochet into the next stitch after the 2 skipped stitches. If you're using US terms, that is a US double crochet. So that's the first of your 2 stitch repeat. And then the second stitch of your 2-stitch repeat is a UK double crochet, and if you're using US terms, that is a US single crochet. So you are going to repeat those 2 stitches 6 more times, and that should take you right to the end of the row. You are going to finish row 1 by chaining 1 and turning your work. And as I said, rows 2 to 14 of this square are worked in exactly the same way as the base square, so I'm not going to cover them in this video. I'm going to go away and finish this square now, and then I'll come back and show you how to work the square where you're joining on both sides. And this square is the one that you are going to be working the most in this blanket, because these squares form the edges, and this square here, that is one that fills in all of the bulk of your work. So this next square is probably the most important of this blanket. So this is what your work will look like once you've worked your first 3 squares, and the aim of the game with working these 3 squares is to create these L-shaped gaps that you will work your infill square, or the square that where you join on 2 sides, not just one. To start, you are going to pop your hook into the top of that very last treble crochet of the square below. And then, just like you did when you've worked one side, you are going to work 15 slip stitches along this side. And if you work your first 14 and then rejoin me, I will show you where to work slip stitch number 15 and then show you how to work this next side as well. Your 15th slip stitch of this first side is going to go into the same place as the slip stitch that joins this blue square to the green square. And then your first slip stitch of your second side is going to go in the same place as the slip stitch that joins the yellow square to the green square. Then you are going to work your way along and work 15 more slip stitches along this square, and at that point I will meet you and tell you what to do next. At this point you should have a total of 30 slip stitches worked across the 2 sides. Then you are going to chain 1 and turn your work. And now you are going to work rows 1 to 14 of your base square, and you're going to use the same techniques of popping your hook through these slip stitches that you should now be familiar with from working your other 2 squares. I'll go away and finish off this square, and then I'll come back and show you how you work your border for your blanket. Your blanket is going to be a lot bigger than my tiny little sample here, but now I'm going to show you how to work your border. First things first, you are going to work in the same way that you did when you've been joining a square, and you are going to work a slip stitch all the way around. So that's 14 slip stitches per side. You can join at any point, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to join at the beginning of the square here, and then work 14 slip stitches fairly loosely all the way to the other edge of this corner. And then when you get to this corner, you are going to work 1 slip stitch, chain 2, 1 slip stitch, all in that same corner space. So you're going to work your way around, and then I will meet you once you have worked all the way around your blanket. Finish off this first round by working a slip stitch into that very first slip stitch that you worked into. And then you are going to chain 1, and then really importantly you are going to turn your work so the wrong side is facing you. Now you're going to work all the way around, working into these slip stitches like you did when you joined your squares, and you are going to work 1 UK double crochet into each of the slip stitches. For those of you using US terms, that is a US single crochet. When you get to your 2 chain corner space here, into this corner space you are going to work 1 double crochet, chain 2, and then another double crochet all into the same space. They are UK doubles, not US doubles, so if you are using US terms, they are US single crochets in this corner. So work your way all the way around, and I will meet you back at the end of the round to show you what to do next. At the end of round 2, you are going to join to that very first double crochet with a slip stitch, And then at this point you want to break your yarn and you can sew in your tails. On the right side of your work after round 2, your work should look a little bit like this. Now what you want to do is still have the right side facing you when you start round 3, and you are going to grab your cream yarn again and you want to join it to any one of your 2 chain corner spaces. It doesn't matter where you join it, you just need to join it in one of those 2 chain corner spaces. Pull up a loop and chain 1. This does not count as a stitch, and then into that corner space you are going to work 1 double crochet. That's a UK double crochet and that's an American single crochet. Then you're going to chain 2 and work 1 more UK double crochet back into that same space. Then you are going to chain 1 and miss the next stitch and then work a double crochet into the stitch after that. Chain 1 again, miss the next stitch and pop a double crochet into the stitch after that. And that is what you are going to repeat all the way around. When you get to your corners, you're going to work 1 UK double crochet, chain 2, 1 UK double crochet, all into that same 2 chain corner space from the row below, and I'll meet you at the end of the round to show you how to work rows 4 through to 8, because those rows are all worked in exactly the same way. When you reach the end of round 3, you want to join to the top of that very first double crochet that you worked with a slip stitch, and then you want to slip stitch into that chain 2 space. Start round 4 and then rounds 5, 6, 7 and 8 are worked in exactly the same way as round 4, so I'm not going to go over those rounds. I'm just going to leave you to work rounds 4 to 8 by yourself. So you start round 4 by chaining 1, and this does not count as a stitch. Then you are going to work 1 UK double crochet, chain 2 and then 1 UK double crochet, all into that same chain 2 space from that corner. Then you are going to chain 1 and you are going to miss the double crochet from the round below, and you are going to work into that chain 1 space that separates your double crochets in the round below, and into that space you're going to work a UK double crochet. Then you're going to chain 1 again and find the next chain 1 space from the round below and work a UK double crochet into that space, and you're going to do that all the way around. Into your corner spaces you are going to work 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet. When you get round to the end of the round, you're going to join to that very first double crochet with a slip stitch, and then you're going to slip stitch into the chain 2 corner space again and start the round again. So I'll leave you to carry on and work rounds 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 all in the same way, and then I'll rejoin you to show you how to work round 9, and that is the final round of this blanket. At the end of round 8, this is what your work should look like. Your blanket will obviously be a lot bigger than 4 squares, but this gives you the general idea of what your work should look like. And now we're going to work the final round that gives that nice little bit of detailing around the outside edges of your work. I have joined my final stitch to the first stitch with a slip stitch, so you'll need to do the same, and then you want to chain 2 and turn your work so that you've got the wrong side facing you. Now this chain 2 counts as 1 UK treble crochet. Into the next stitch along you are going to work a slip stitch, and then into the next stitch after that you are going to work a treble crochet. That's a UK treble, so if you're using US terms that is a US double. And you are going to alternate these 2 stitches all the way along, so a slip stitch and then a treble crochet. And when you get to your corner spaces you are going to work 1 treble crochet and 1 slip stitch into each corner. So I'll leave you now to carry on and finish round 9, and then I'll come back and show you what your finished product should look like. Once you've finished round 9, you should have this lovely picot edge all the way around the edge of your blanket, and all that's left to do now is to sew in any ends that you have left and then enjoy your blanket.